Hi, I'm Chris Bontel. I'm an IP attorney and one of the co-founders of Tangibly, and I'm always excited to talk about trade secrets. So for this video that we're preparing, it's two parts. So the first one, I'll talk about what trade secrets are and why they're so important to your company. In the second half, we'll give you a brief tour of our platform so you can see what it looks like and how it works. Now, reality is nobody wakes up in the morning and says, hey, I want to have a new SaaS platform, myself included. But what we all want is an outcome, a favorable result, a solution to a problem. And by working with Tangibly, our users can achieve multiple good outcomes. The first one, and probably the most important, is that you avoid drama. There's a lot of drama associated with trade secrets if you do things incorrectly or don't do things at all. And by working with Tangibly, you significantly lower the risk of having your trade secrets stolen or being misappropriated. You also lower your risk of contamination, where your organization gets contaminated by someone else's trade secrets. And if, despite all of your best efforts, you still have your trade secrets stolen, Tangibly will help position you to enforce your rights and to improve your chances of a good result should you end up in court or arbitration or some other dispute resolution venue. A second great outcome is that you can show value. These days, more and more of a company's value is in information, not hard assets. And trade secrets are among the most valuable assets that you have, so you should really treat them that way. They're super, super important. Now, in terms of what are trade secrets, there's two answers. So one is a three-part legal definition, but I also have a plain English alternative that's a lot easier to use and gives you the same result. So what are those three parts? So the first is it has to be secret, or at least not generally known. That's kind of obvious. Secret is in the name trade secret. The second one is that it's valuable because it's a secret. And presumably, if it's not a secret, it would lose its value. That's also kind of obvious. We care about things that are valuable. And if something has no value, you probably don't care much. Then the third is that the owner took, and here's the magic buzzword, reasonable measures to protect the trade secret. And this is really what Tangibly is all about. So that's the three-part legal definition, but I've boiled it down to a plain English question, which is, would you be very upset if your competitor learned this particular piece of information? If the answer is yes, it's very likely a trade secret. And if the answer is no, it's very likely not a trade secret. So I find that to be a much easier test to use on a day-to-day basis. And again, it always gives you the same result as going through that three-part test. Now, I mentioned reasonable measures, and that's really where life gets interesting. Courts are now requiring that you take proactive steps and that you proactively manage your trade secrets long before you have a problem. If you wait until your trade secrets are stolen to do something about it, your chance of success is going to be very, very low, maybe even zero. Yeah, it's kind of like fire insurance. You want to buy the insurance before your house catches on fire. You don't want to wait until your house is burned down to say, gee, maybe I should get some fire insurance. It works the same way. And by working with Tangibly, our clients can easily adopt best practices to identify what their trade secrets are, manage those trade secrets to best practice standards or better, and to protect their valuable trade secrets. So there's a lot of great outcomes and results that can be obtained. Now, at Tangibly, we offer two different things at a high level. One is a SaaS platform, which has tremendous functionality and really makes the management and identification of trade secrets much easier. And there's also some very cool, insightful AI tools. But we also offer a consulting service where a lot of clients want extra training or need more guidance on policies and procedures and how to identify and harvest their trade secrets. So for those types of clients, the consulting offering can be really valuable and can position them to get the most value out of the SaaS platform. So I'd like to hand this over to at least give you a tour of the platform so you can see what it can do and how it can add value and just be a great addition to your company's IP portfolio. Thanks, and we'll talk soon.
Hello, this is Michiel, and I'm going to give you a brief introduction into the Tangibly platform. The platform built to help you manage and identify your trade secrets. What you see here on the beginning is the overview of the trade secret collection of this particular environment. This is a company. They have 258 assets, and here's where they're listed. I'm playing now the role as an IP manager, or at least somebody who's in control of the trade secret asset of this company. And I have access to all the assets. From here, I'm going to click into a specific asset. And what you see is on the left is the metadata about who created this asset, when was it created, what can you do with it, and tagging around so that you can do filtering and reporting purposes. What you can do with it is very important. So people that are invited to this asset will see directly what they cannot do with this particular asset. On the right, you can see the details about what this asset is all about. So here you can write a very detailed description about this particular trade secret. You also see the contributors. The contributors, think about it as the inventors of a certain trade secret. And you can add additional content in here. So as part of being protected for your trade secrets, more and more cases show that you need to be very particular. So the more particular you are about what your trade secret does, the better it is. So you can store on the platform multiple documents here as well. This can be just simple text. This can also be schemas, photos, PowerPoints, just name it. So that's step number one. Let me go into this asset and just adjust it if you want. So I can put a title, you can write a description here if you want, but again, you can also just upload more content. So let me go in here and just take an image. And now the image is loaded there as well. Another way of dealing with this is you can store the high-level information about this trade secret on the Tangibly platform, but then you can make a connection to, for example, your SharePoint at your company. So you're making here a connection. That basically means that your detailed description or detailed documentation of the trade secret is in your own secured infra. The high-level data sits here on the Tangibly platform. Then we put some more metadata in here. This can be, you label or classify what this trade secret is. These drop-downs, by the way, are fully customizable. What can you do with it? You put departments in here. What is it? Is it too technical? Is it related to product? Is there business value associated to it? So basically, you'll be very specific about what this trade secret means to your company. That is step number one. From here, now we have loaded and recorded the asset. We're going to invite colleagues of partners or contractors that need to have access to this trade secret asset in your company. So what I will do, I'm going to notify one of my colleagues, which is Michiel. So next time Michiel comes into the platform, he will basically get this pop-up screen. And the pop-up screen is asking him to confirm to get access to this secret. So until this time, my role has now changed. So if I now go back to the asset database, and me as just an employee, I can see some assets that I was invited to, but the ones I have not acknowledged yet are kind of locked for me. So you cannot do anything with it. If I want to unlock it, me as an employee want to understand what the secret is all about, you basically type in your name, and by typing the name and clicking on confirm, I as an employee, I'm reconfirming that I need to adhere to some legal obligations, all to do with confidentiality, right? When acknowledging it, now I have access, so I can see this asset again. This workflow runs on the Tangibly platform. This workflow also runs on email. So the trade secret owner of portfolio owner can invite somebody. That person will get a notification here, but will also get an email. And from the email, he can also acknowledge getting access to the secret. Well, then further on the assets, so I can start managing it because I now can see who are the people in my company who had access to the secret. Well, Michiel is one of them. By the way, he signed. We just saw that. There were two contributors, Candy and Samuel, who are contributors to the asset, like the inventor. They haven't signed yet, so they also get an invitation. So we want to make sure that everybody, although they are part of the invitation, they still need to kind of make sure that they are signing off on stuff. And on the final, I can see activity. So I can see full activity, what happened on this asset, who got access, why one got access, was this asset edited, was it created, etc., etc. So you have full detail about this particular asset. The second step is you're going to manage that. So here on the left, you see the people tab, employee tab. Employees are people in your company listed, and you want to make sure that those people that are in there are actively managed. So if I, for example, take Chris Buntel, Chris is my colleague, he's in the sales department, I can see that he has not taken all the training. Training is a component, I'll come back to it later, but training as part of best practices is very important. So you want to make sure, and the training is all part of the platform, we want to make sure that people are invited on the training and people are mandatory taking this training. That helps in the protection when something bad happens. But if I click on a colleague, I can see what did he contribute to, what were the assets shared with him, and if so, also what assets were shared by him. So maybe I should take another example. Martin here, he created 11 assets, he contributed to 15, and there were 39 shared with him. Now, why is this important? If Martin leaves the organization, I have one record where I have complete insight about all the trade secret assets that he was involved with, and also with an acknowledgement on that. This is basically sent to HR, and HR will then discuss it with Martin. Say, well, when Martin leaves the organization, say, well, Martin, good luck in your new role, but remember, you got access to this secret, and you signed off on them on these dates. And so you reconfirm constantly kind of the importance of the secret and that people are contractually obliged to that. Well, we do that for employees. You do the similar thing for contractors. So contractors that are working with you, they are invited to access a secret. They need to sign off, acknowledge it, and you have the records for them. And so you have always full access to that. Another important part is partners. So if you think about trade secrets and trade secrets litigation, a lot has to do with misappropriation of the secrets that are shared with partners that you're working with outside development partners. So you want to manage that in a similar way, but it goes both ways. So what you see here is an overview, full details about what contracts were in place. I can download those documents. Are they still active? Yes, they are, but we have to start paying attention to it. You see who are the people, so who are the employees at the partner who were acknowledged about my secret and who signed off on it. So for example, Elise Kramer, she was asked about 8 trade secrets and she signed off on 5. So I now can start actively manage that. I gave her a call. So, hey, Elise, what's going on? I also have the overview of the asset that was shared with the partner. Same workflow. Partnership sometimes ends. When the partnership ends, I want to have full overview. Send this list to my partner. Say, well, partner, you want access to this trade secrets, just delete them from your systems and confirm that in writing. Okay? So you always kind of one overview. And finally, as I mentioned, also the other way around. So here you see assets that were contributed by partners to me. What typically happens, partnerships are agreed on, NDAs are signed, and information starts to flow. We don't know where information goes anymore. Well, what you do here as well, so next to what goes out to the partner, you also want to make sure that the trade secrets that you get from your partners are listed somewhere, and you're going to manage them in the same way. So they are listed, you list them here on the platform, and from here you're going to invite the people in your organization that needs to get access to the secret. Then on the best practices, I mentioned that earlier as well, training is very important. Training is important for a couple of ways. First of all, you want to make sure that you educate your people, that they understand what they can do and what they cannot do with a trade secret. That's step number one. The second step is, I want to make sure that I'm compliant. I want to make sure they have a record that in the case something goes wrong, I understand which of my employees got which trainings, so I can confront them with them. The first level of defense of an employee in litigation, he or she will say, I've never heard about trade secrets. I don't know what they are. I don't know what I can or cannot do with it. If you then have a record where people have taken training and they have signed off on it, then you are covered. So on the platform, we have a couple of mandatory trainings. For example, this one, negative know-how, is that a trade secret, yes or no? It's 1 to 2 minutes interactive videos where we ask the employees to confirm that they have watched it. And then not only that, we also want to confirm that they understood what they've been looking at. If I go now quickly back to people, you can see that for example, Chris, I showed that earlier, we have made it mandatory training on the platform here 6. He only took 2, so I can give a call to Chris now and say, well, Chris, what's happening with the other 4? This is the basic of the best practices. So you are storing a trade secret, you're specific about it, you're limiting the access, and only those need to know are invited to get access to the platform, to the trade secret, and they only get access after they put their name on there. So after they acknowledge that. Finally, we want to give people training. So the training is all meant for education and awareness part, but also to be compliant. That all ends up into a dashboard. So in the dashboard, you see a real life environment, a real life state of where my trade secrets are, how many do I have, what kind do I have, and how is it trending up or trending down. You can see what departments are contributing heavily to my secrets. This is an interesting one as well. Who are the contributors? Think about the idea that we are used to praise people that are listed as an inventor on the patents. We also want to praise people that have been contributing to trade secrets because they're important IP as well. So that is the first part of what we do. An effective way of managing your secret so that you avoid leakage and misappropriation. But in the case that happens, you have legal power, you have legal measures in place to. The second part, what we do is help you to identify. For now, for this demo, I'm going to focus only on the patent X-ray, but we have multiple AI tooling. The patent X-ray is a way of helping to identify where potential secrets are your company, and we do that by looking at patent documents. That might sound a little bit counterintuitive, because patents, you're basically disclosing your technology and how you do things, and in return you get your patents. But in most cases, you want to keep things still vague. You want to keep things vague about what you exactly are doing. What is the secret special sauce that you're doing to make things? Well, that's what we do. So we're looking at a patent, analyze it, and we come up with potential secrets that are hidden in this particular patent. And we call that potential secrets because we don't know for sure. We only can give you pointers where you then can have meaningful discussions with your technology department about the technology that's being raised. Because what we do, we looked at this patent, we create potential secrets, the design or layout of this vessel, and we validate that into your specification. And the validation into specification is kind of how well are you describing this particular thing. There are 6 references in your patent, and from here you can identify how well you indeed are disclosing your information. If this disclosure is limited, you still want to have conversation with David and Praveen. You want to understand from them how unique is this, right? And this will help you to go into the organization and to build up an asset collection. So first question that we see a lot with clients say, well, I'm not sure where I can find my secrets. Well, we can help you with that by looking at your patent data first. It's interesting for harvesting trade secrets. It's also interesting for looking at your competitors, right? So if you look at competitors' trade secret of patents, you can potentially identify where are they hiding stuff, what are they doing special, and can you learn something for that? That's kind of more from a business intelligence perspective, but you can also use it into your patent strategy, because if they're not disclosing full detail, you can maybe file for opposition. This goes into the IP workflow, the patent workflow, and we would be very pleased to discuss that in further detail in a demo or on the phone. So I hope this gives you a glance of what we're doing. Typically, when we are going to the platform and talk with clients, it takes us probably more than an hour to go into the full detail of what we do. But I certainly hope that by this short introduction, you got some kind of a good idea about what we do and how we do stuff, and help you and help our clients to make sure that you are protected for your trade secrets. Thank you very much.